Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Mang Liaoming. Homage to Master Sakya Zhengkong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Dukten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the group practice today, Padma Kumara. Sumo. Danzan Kato. Tutan Siddhi. All Dhamma masters, Dhamma educators, Dhamma teachers, Dhamma lecturers, Dhamma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, all disciples present here and over the webcast. Good evening, how do you do? Aisteru. Sarangi.
Hola amigo.
Hola amigo.
Te quiero mucho.
Te quiero mucho.
Sukoin.
Sukoin.
Ichiban.
Ichiban.
Kimochi. Chumi.
Chumi.
Yapi. Prin prin.
Prin prin.
Konbanwa.
Konbanwa.
Dajawanan.
Good evening, everyone. At the beginning of this group practice, I would like to start with a joke. The wife asked the husband, you're getting cold toward me now. Before marriage, you were so good to me. On the street, if there's a puddle, you would carry me. And now you just pretend you don't see it. And the husband replied, oh, that's misunderstanding. It's not that I don't see it. I cannot carry you anymore. You're too heavy for me to carry. So there are many situations that proves that there's nothing permanent in this life. Like, take our body as an example, it's changing every day. Like when I was young, I was extremely skinny. In elementary school, I was really skinny. My nickname then was Little Mouse. Very tiny. Tiny mouse. And now, when I was in the military school, in the college, I started to gain weight.
目前看起来
And now,
除了个子比较小以外
other than being rather short, everything else is fine.
在变化之中
A human body is ever changing. It's not, nothing is permanent.
这个今天身体健康
Don't think that today you're
明天
healthy
就不会有什么事
and then nothing will
不
happen
知道明
tomorrow.
天到
You
底
don't
身体
know
健康不健康
whether you will still be healthy or not
会发生
tomorrow.
什么事你也不知道
You don't know what will happen.
所以佛法里面佛陀曾经讲
So in
诸事
Buddhism,
无常
the Buddha once said that everything is impermanent.
那么唯识论里面最重要的
In the Yogacara
唯心
treatise,
无尽
the most important statement is
这是唯识论
Um,
佛教唯识论里讲的
only
唯心无尽
the mind
在
is
中观讲起来就是讲
unchanging.
自己的心
In the Madhyamaka, the middle way,
跟空性
that your mind
结合
is in union with the empty nature. They are assimilated, merging together. That's called the
中观
Madhyamaka.
跟唯识的差别
The difference between Yogacara and Madhyamaka, one is the consciousness only,
自己的心
and the other one
跟
is your own mind
佛性
and the Buddha
融合在
nature
一起
are merging together.
这两个是有差别的，一个是中观，一个是唯识。
There's a difference between Madhyamaka and Yogacara. Of course,
那学问很大了。
if you want to study Madhyamaka, that would be quite deep and profound.
入中论，
And
你要
the
研究
treatise of
你可以
Chandrakirti
解深密经，
is the Madhyamaka Vatara.
另外还有
And Yogacara,
名家经，
and then the
另外弥勒菩萨的
Avatamsaka Sutra,
弥勒菩萨
and Maitreya Bodhisattva,
世亲
and Asanga and
文殊
Vasubandhu,
菩萨
and
啊
Manjushri
这个弥勒菩
Bodhisattva,
萨
Maitreya
是
Bodhisattva
唯识的 跟无着
is
跟
press great importance on Yogacara together with Asanga and Vasubandhu.
中观呢，是文
And
殊利菩萨
Madhyamaka is
龙树，
by Manjushri Bodhisattva, Nagarjuna
你可以从那里
and Dignaga.
去研究中观跟唯识。那么在西
So
藏
you
的
can
民众
start your research there.
他把唯识
And Tibetan Tantrayana,
结合起来，
they combine both Yogacara and Madhyamaka.
大部分里面是在中观里面
And
也
not Dignaga but Aryadewa.
在唯识
So in Madhyamaka, there's also concepts of Yogacara, and in Yogacara, there are also concepts about Madhyamaka.
那么现在进入你问我答。
Now we will do the question and
马来
answer.
西亚黄雅叶
Malaysia, Huang Yayue asked
莲
this
武根
question.
本上师
Homage to the lineage Guru, living Buddha Lian Shang.
弟子看到罗天大教法会
I saw the Luo Tian Da Jiao ceremony, the short mantra. The short mantra for Mahakaruna Dharani. Sitentu Mandala Padoya Soha. And the short mantra that we normally chant is
Namo Samanto Motoram Vajra Tammo Se.
So the short mantra that we normally chant is the heart mantra of the 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Namo Samanto Motanan Vajra Tammo Se. Master, can you please explain the difference between these two mantras and their functions? May I chant them? Thank you. The short mantra for Mahakaruna Dharani. So that mantra was the last few syllables of the Mahakaruna Dharani.
Om Sidentu Mandala Padoya Soha.
Om Sidentu Mandala Padoya Soha. Right? Those are the last few words. So just chant the last few words. And Namo Samanto Modanan Vajra Tammo Se is the heart mantra of the 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. Now I would like to tell everybody, 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms of Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva's heart mantra.
Namo Manto Samanto Modanan Vajra Tammo Se. 这个意思呢？
This mantra, Namo Samanto Modanan Vajra Tammo Se, is generally chanted by the Japanese Tantrayana and the Tibetan Tantrayana generally chant Om Sidentu Mandala Padoya Soha. Actually, there are no differences between the two. One is the 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva's heart mantra, and the other one is the heart mantra of Mahakaruni Dharani, or the Great Compassion Water mantra. There is no particular difference between the two. We can say you can chant the short mantra of Mahakaruna Dharani, but for the practice of 1,000 eyes, 1,000 arms Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, you have to chant his heart mantra, which is Namo Samanto Modanan Vajra Tammo Se. So when you perform the deity yoga, you have to chant this. If you chant the short mantra for Mahakaruna Dharani, you could chant the earlier mantra. If you have more time, then you can chant the complete Mahakaruna Dharani. If you have time, it's best to chant the whole mantra. The merit is the same. Although the two mantras are different, but their merits are the same. That's all I can tell you. There are many merits to Mahakaruna Dharani. You would know if you read it. And thousand eyes, thousand arms, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva has 11 heads, which means from the 11th ground. In Tibetan Tantrayana, they often refer to that the Buddha is from the 12 and a half ground. But in Mahayana Buddhism, anyone above the 10th ground is considered Buddhas. So thousand eyes, thousand arms, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva is considered a Buddha of the 11th ground. And that mantra of thousand eyes, thousand arms, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva merits, and the Mahakaruna Dharani's merits, you can check and learn about them. The second question from Malaysia, Lee Raven. First, before True Buddha School, I followed other schools. How should I handle their materials, such as books, CDs, images, blessed items, news, etc.? Before True Buddha School, I followed other schools. How should I handle their materials? Let me tell you. The way I handled them in the past. In the past, I read the Bibles, Matthew, Mark, Lucas, John, Corinthians, Corinthians 1 and 2, Thessalonians, and Judas. So that's for the New Testaments. And for the Old Testaments, the first one is Genesis. And when you open the book at the center, it's the Psalms. So if you take a Bible and you open it at the center, it's the Psalms. And the first one of the Old Testament is Genesis. And then how did I handle my Bible? I give it away to my Christian friend. Or I brought them to the church as gifts for other people, so we should not waste it. And books, CDs, images, news, blessed items from other schools, and you don't want to keep them, it's very easy. If it were in Taiwan, I would bring them to the Earth God Temple, and people sometimes they go to the Earth God Temple and just pray, and they like to get some free books. In Taiwan, I would have brought them to the Earth God Temple there, and people with affinity would be interested and get them. That's what I did. Or like the True Buddha News, I had too many of them, and also the Enlightenment magazine, too many of them. And I finished reading them, so what did I do? So I brought them to the Earth God temples and just to share with the general public. I did that to my own, to the newspaper of our own schools. So the same thing, materials from other schools, you can bring them to the Earth God temples. In Malaysia, you can also bring them to the Tapo temple there. Is that the same as Earth God temples in Taiwan? The same, right? In Malaysia, do you have such temples? Then just bring them there. Books, CDs, images, blessed items, news, all of them is fine. You just learn from Grandmaster. In Taiwan, I would bring them to the Earth God temples. And in Malaysia, bring them to the temples there. Things from other schools, you can also give to the disciples of those schools, followers of the schools. They're fine too. If they're already old and used very much, you can burn them at the burners that burn paper money, because other people may not want them. If you find them to be too old, you can just report to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and then burn them in the burner for paper monies. The second question, as for guiding my son, in the past, due to my ignorance, I didn't practice Buddhism. And I didn't know how to deal with life's difficulties. Later, I became a Buddhist and I believe in karma. I started to apply Buddhist studies into my life. I'm very grateful to the blessings of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that I was able to change my son's resistance to studying Buddhism to gradually accepting it. I make offering to Vajrakilaya. My son and I will offer clean water every night to Vajrakilaya, and then chant the fourfold refuge mantra 3 times. Recite Vajrakilaya mantra 7 times plus his mudra. Visualize, chant the Hiking Sutra, and during the chanting of the 7 Buddhas' karma eradication mantra at the mudra, chant the other mantras, homage using visualization, 100 syllable mantra 3 times plus its mudra, and dedication, completion mantra, and disparition mudra. Is this how I should teach my son to cultivate spiritually? Thank you. Offering to Vajrakilaya. Chant Vajrakilaya mantra 7 times plus his mudra. My son and I will offer clean water every night to him. Chant the fourfold refuge mantra. Namo Gurupe, Namo Buddhaye, Namo Dhammaye, Namo Sanghaye. That's refuge mantra. Vajrakilaya mantra.
Om Peta Jili Jilaya Sawa Pikane Ban Hong Pei.
Om Peta Jili Jilaya Sawa
Jili Jilaya Sawa Pikane Ban Hong Pei.
Pikane Ban Hong Pei.
Vajrakilaya
Vajrakilaya mantra. Visualize, chant the Hiking Sutra, and during the chanting of the 7 Buddhas' karma eradication mantra at the mudra, chant the other mantras, homage using visualization, 100-syllable mantra 3 times plus its mudra, merit dedication. This is not considered a set of practice procedure, because in a set of Dharma practice there is visualization, chanting mantra, visualization, chanting mantra, and mudra, and enter samadhi. There's no samadhi. For refuge mantra 3 times. This is different from the typical practice procedure. She created this herself. In our practice procedure, you can make offering and then perform the great homage. And in the 7 posture of Vairukana, you follow the practice procedure. If you lack time, then after great homage, you can visualize, and during visualization you form the mudra. Visualize, form the mudra, and then chant the mantra. And after chanting the mantra, you enter samadhi. After chanting, first visualize, then chant the mantra. When you visualize, you form the mudra, and then you chant the mantra. And after chanting the mantra, you enter samadhi. You meditate. You sit quietly, and then you perform homage using visualization, and then 100-syllable mantra 3 times, and then homage using visualization, and then merit dedication. This is all. This is a mess. It's all. Please pay attention. Li Ruifen. Please pay attention to the order of the practice procedure. This is confusing. It's better if you just follow the practice procedure of True Buddha School. Don't just make it up yourself. You should perform the beginning part of the practice first, which is like part of the 4 preliminary. And then you do the main part of the practice, which includes visualization and forming mudra, and then chanting the mantra and enter samadhi. Those are the main part. And then the ending part of the practice, which includes merit dedication, 100-syllable mantra, and completion mantra, and the dispersion mudra. That's okay. So you have to pay attention, because your steps are disorderly here. You can guide your son to practice. How old is your son? She didn't say. If the son is only 4 or 5 years old, there's no need. But if the son is more than 10 years old, then yes, you can teach him little by little. Of course, you can guide your son to enter into spiritual cultivation. But your son also needs to be empowered, needs empowerment in order for him to practice.
这台湾的莲花国展，
台湾莲花国展。
师佛文集第44册。
Grandmaster's book number 44. This is a long time ago.
平妖传，好像武侠小说。
Chronicles of Exorcism. This is like a kung fu novel. In the article Armor Protection Mudra, you wrote, in quote, "In the future, I will practice armor protection with the special addition of a Vajra fire mantra. Seeing a golden net raised in a blaze, and this blazing fire is no ordinary fire. It can scorch all the demons. There was a celestial demon touching it, and his finger was charred. He was screaming like thunders. But what can I do? That was the only way to avoid falling into the demon's ways. Demon ways. Here may I reverently ask Grandmaster to teach us this Vajra fire mantra?" That's the first question. So who knows this Vajra fire mantra? Anyone? Anybody able to do this Vajra fire mantra? Please check on it. Book 44, Chronicles of Exorcism, in the article of Armor Protection Mudra. It mentioned about this Vajra fire mantra. Can use the Great Brahma mantra, and the mudra is the inner three-prong Vajra mudra, Brahma mantra. The Great Brahma. That's the mantra, Om Beta Brahma Soha. That's Om Beta Brahma Soha. That's the Brahma mantra. So, he asked about the Vajra fire mantra, and my answer, that's Brahma is there, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu. To my right is Shiva, on the left, with the white goose, that's Brahma, And the one with Garuda is Vishnu,
三尊。
the three deities.
好啦，现在跟你讲了。
So I've told you now.
Om Beta Brahma Soha.
Om Beta Brahma Soha. That's the Vajrafire mantra.
那第二个问题。
For the second question,
文集第67册
in Grandmaster's book number 67th, oh, these are all very old books. You're testing me?
规则的心声里面，生活中的
The sounds of the hearts of refuge disciples in an article entitled To the School Shaking the Money Tree Dharma Practice. You wrote, that was long ago. I transmitted it here at the Seattle Lezang Temple. You wrote in quotes, number 8, form the mudra. Spread all fingers of both hands, the left palm facing down in front of the chest, the right palm facing to the front. Place in between the left thumb and index finger. And the mudra looks like a tree standing on the ground. This is the mudra of shaking the money tree. Question 1. Could you please show us how to form this mudra? This mudra of shaking the money tree. The left hand is in front of the chest, all the fingers spread out, and the right hand also, those fingers spread out, and place it here. So this is a tree planted on the ground. This is the mudra of shaking the money tree. Place it between the thumb and the index finger. Of course, you have to shake the money tree. You have to shake it. So that's the mudra for shaking the money tree. Question 2. Could you please chant its mantra? Oh.
这是考我哎。
You're testing me.
他也把咒音念。南无萨曼多瓦日拉吽，南无萨曼多瓦日拉吽，南无萨曼多瓦日拉吽。摇钱术法的咒音。
The mantra Namo Samanto
Vajra Hum Namo Samanto Vajra Vajra Hum Namo Samanto Vajra Hum Namo Samanto Vajra 也可以念成 Vajra
So you can chant Namo Samanto Vajra Hum or Namo Samanto Vajra Fa Hum. Fa.
Namo Samanto Vajra Hum. Namo Samanto Vajra Hum.
So Namo Samanto Vajra Fa Hum.
它的观想是观想莲生尊者。
And the visualization is visualize the Venerable Lien Sung radiates bright yellow light upon the tree, and the whole tree radiates golden yellow light. The tree enlarges and its leaves are lush and flourishing. Then visualize the leaves are no longer leaves. They have transformed into new dollar bills. Taiwan dollars or US dollars or Japanese yen. So new Taiwan dollars or Japanese yen or US dollars or US dollars.
United States money.
Visualize the leaves are no longer leaves, they have transformed into bills, banknotes. So a gigantic tree with all its leaves becoming bills, dollar bills. Visualize clearly. At this time, slightly wiggle the right hand that is shaking the money tree. Then visualize all the tree leaves, which are now the banknotes or bills, falling down around the practitioner, piling up like a mountain, surrounding the practitioner. So it's like sitting in the well, looking up to the sky. Because there are money all around you, even if they fall on you, you still feel really happy, right? I have this insight about human lives. The most important thing is lives, and the most important thing is health. Even when you have money, you cannot buy health. Even when you have money, you cannot buy youth. So, body, life, and health are most important. And second important is money. Okane. How do you say money in Japanese? Okane. Why did the second brother said, I have a lot? So please explain it. I am a rich man in Japanese. Watakushi wa taksan aru. It means I have a lot. I have lots and lots of money. So now you've mastered this and you would become a rich man. But of course, health is first and foremost. Life and health are first and foremost, and money is second. We should be like that. As a tantric practitioner, there's another first and foremost, and that is spiritual cultivation. life is
有
second
钱第三，
and money is
修
third.
行应该排在第一位。
So spiritual cultivation is first and
因为你
foremost.
身体健康，不懂得修行，
Because even if you're healthy but you don't know how to cultivate spiritually, you would still be
修行
reincarnated.
排在第一位。
So if you
不管你身体
prioritize
怎么样，
spiritual
有
cultivation
没有钱，
to be
你都可以脱
topmost,
离六道轮回。
regardless of your health and wealth, you would be free from the 6 rebirth realms.
我们讲解脱道，
So in Tantrayana, we say
解脱
that
人
it is the path of liberation.
解脱六
What
道，
are we liberated from? From the human
六
world,
道都在
from the
苦
6
里面
rebirth realms. Because the 6 rebirth realms are full of suffering. Even when you have lots of money, you still suffer.
你有钱，你碰到查水表，
So even when you have money
在美
and
国
you're
也是
being
一样啊。
audited, then you would
你
still
到了美
suffer.
国，第一个身份第一重要，
The same thing if you
你
come
必
to
须要
America.
拿到美
First
国
thing
绿
is your status. You have to get your residency and citizenship. And second, you have to pay
报税很
taxes.
重要。但是等做生意的人，大部分来讲，5年他会被查一次税。
Paying taxes is important. As businessmen, usually you're being audited about every 5 years. And when you're being audited, you would suffer.
所以很多事情都是这样的，人生
So there are a lot of things like that.
苦多于乐，有的
So
时候多，
living in this human world, we have
快
more
乐比较少。
bitterness than happiness.
那么三恶道那更不得了，
And in the 3 lower realms, it's
地狱
even
也
worse.
全部都是苦。
In hells, they're just
畜生
suffering.
道，
In the animal realms, there's also suffering.
你说当了动物都是苦，
Being born an animal,
那
that's
叫
suffering.
生、旁生，
That's birth on
到
the
了动物
sidelines.
就更苦了，也是苦。
So
还有恶鬼道，
being an animal, that's also suffering. And the realm of hungry ghosts, that's even more suffering.
但是你要
You have
记住
huge bellies and you're always very
喉
hungry,
咙很细，
starving,
永远
and
填
you
不
want to
那
eat,
个恶鬼道。
but your throat is so fine, so tiny,
但是喉咙
so you're never content, you're
你要
never
吃下
full.
去的东西啊都会变
So you have
很
huge
难吃，
belly, but
就变成
your throat is extremely
不
tiny,
能吃的东西。
and whatever you eat becomes flaming charcoal, so you cannot eat anything to fill yourself. So the realms of hells, animals, and hungry ghosts are all full of suffering.
也是苦，
So even if you're free from the 3 lower realms, the 3 good realms are also suffering.
解脱，
Therefore,
能够
you have to cultivate spiritually by the Buddha Dharma in order to be liberated from the 6 rebirth realms to rise to the 4 sagely realms, so that you're not being reincarnated or to go to the Buddha lands. This is the most important.
有一次老王上厕所，
One time,
隔壁
Lao Wang was in the
隔壁的时候
bathroom,
有人，隔壁的
and next to him there was another
兄弟
man
你
and
用
said,
哪一排
"Hey
的
brother,
卫生纸怎么这么香？
which brand of toilet paper are you using?
奇怪，公共
It's
厕所
so
拿
fragrant."
过去，从底下有没有？
That's weird.
从底
You can
下
pass
把卫生
toilet
纸递
paper
过去给他看。
from underneath.
那老王不耐烦了，就拿他的卫生纸，
He's impatient, so he showed him the toilet paper.
然后就没有然后了。老
And
王在
then
厕所里面蹲啊，
No,
蹲了1个小
afterwards
时，
He's been sitting there for an hour.
给我出来，给我站出来。
Who's that? You didn't return the toilet paper to me? What a jerk.
真的上厕所没有卫生纸也是很惨。
Oh, that's quite miserable, going to the toilet without toilet paper. So that's also suffering.
讲到苦啊，这个也是苦。
Talking about suffering.
这个小明因为长期失眠，
Xiaoming
医生告诉他
has insomnia, so he went to see a doctor.
小明讲
And the doctor told
回
Xiaoming,
去以后从1数
why
到
don't you count 1 to
就
1000
可以睡着。
and then you can fall
昨
asleep.
天小明
So
越做
the
越
next day, Xiaoming with
来
the
看医生。
dark eyes came to see the doctor again, and doctor asked what
昨天
happened.
我数到
Well, I was counting to 890 last night
撑不下去，
and I couldn't hold it anymore.
喝咖啡
So I drank some coffee to keep awake
最后
to
还是
finish
睡不着。
chanting. So I still could not sleep.
这个小明好笨呐、
Xiaoming is
撑
so
不住你就
dumb.
睡了，算了吧。
You couldn't hold it, then you should just sleep.
我数到890，医生叫你数到1000，
Because the doctor asked him to count till 1000, so
数
you
到890
had to
你撑不下
count
去
to
你就睡了
1000.
嘛。
And you counted to 890. And you
所以
couldn't
我们
hold
学佛也
it,
要
so
聪明一点。
so dumb. That's why in practicing Buddhism we have to be smart.
我们再讲一点道果。
Let's continue on Lamdre.
持4大种等分解受，
On C,
颂言
the spiritual experiences of upholding the 4 major kinds,
及
etc.
天理种种
The verse in quote, the uniform flow of the qi of the 4 elements
持4大之气
and the various dance offerings of the celestial goddesses or devis. End quote.
4种
If one holds each qi of the 4 elements evenly at the basic positions for 225 breaths
接
each,
受中见天
the total for 4 kinds would be 900
之故，
breaths.
此处
The spiritual experiences
非主
is the sightings and the dreams of seeing devis offering songs and dances.
我告诉你
Because the
啊
bodiless sensation is not the primary spiritual experience, it
这
wouldn't be
一句话
explained
简直
here.
是混蛋，
What?
怎么回事啊？他最后讲，此
哦
处生劫受，非主
Wretch.
要故不速。
Why? Because the last statement said the bodily sensation is not the primary spiritual experience. That's one is not explained here.
主要的，所以不必讲。那既然不必讲，我还讲什么？
So, because it will not be explained, I should not say anything, right? So, what is scoundrel?
什么是4大气呀、
What are the 4
告诉大家，
elements qi? Let me tell you, the most important one is the upper
控
qi
制上升的气，叫
that
做上
controls the
控制
qi of the
上升的
upper
气叫做
body,
下行气
and the qi that controls the lower body is
控
called
制
the lower
全身
qi,
温暖的气
and the qi that controls the circulation around the body is called the peripheral
气
qi,
的上下的
and
伙伴气
the qi that controls the central channels going up and down is called the inner accompanying, the fire accompanying qi. Those are the 4 great qis,
这
and
4
one
种
more,
气
the life qi, for a total of 5 great qis.
这4种气 上
So
行
if you
气下行气
practice
上
these 4
行
kinds of
气
qis,
下压
upper qi
下行
pushing down, the lower qi lifting up,
火旺气进
the
入
fire accompanying qi entering into the central channels, and the peripheral qi circulating all over.
在散的时候要做
In dispersion, you want to circulate
要
everywhere.
运用到225
And if you utilize one of the qis for 225 breaths, for a total of 900 breaths, after 900 times, in the dreams you would be able to see the goddesses singing and dancing. Then you have quite a power from your spiritual cultivation. So the upper chi pushing down, the lower chi lifting up, and the peripheral chi circulating, and the fire accompanying chi guiding the central channel, chi to open the central channel, and then all the chi concentrate at the central channel to go up to the crown chakra and coming down to the base. And then in the dreams, your spiritual experience is to see the goddesses singing and dancing. But then it's written, this is not primary, so no need to explain. So isn't that a scoundrel, bastard, jerk, rotten egg? So that's for the excerpt then. You know, in Tantrayana, the chi practice is extremely important. That's why there are many yogis who would write that the yogi, a breathing, who practices breathing, if you have attainments in your chi and channel practice, you'll be remarkable. If you have attainments in your chi and channel practices, then your final attainment would be able to liberate self-liberation. In Mahayana Buddhism, you can go to the Pure Lands. But if you practice the chi channels and light drops in Tantrayana, at the place of Guru Padmasambhavas, you can transform yourself to become rainbow light. You can directly become lights to become rainbow. The 5 great chis to become 5 colored lights. When the 5 chakras all open, then that would become the 5 rainbow lights. Then you would rainbow lights would be generated from you. Then you can attain Buddhahood in this body, in this lifetime. You would have this attainment through the practice of the chi and channels. But without the chi and channel practice, by chanting the Buddha's epithet, with the appearance of the Pure Land Trinity, you can be guided to the Pure Land or Buddha lands. And being in the Pure Land, through the teachings of the sages, you can have the attainments of the 4 sagely realms, the Buddhahoods and Bodhisattvahoods. So for a human being to have the attainment of the direct Buddhahood, you have to practice the chi channel and light drops. Direct Buddhahood in this body, in this lifetime. So we can say this. So what's being taught in Lamdre is about direct Buddhahood in this body, in this lifetime. Not like the Pure Land sect, which is the guidance by Amitabha Buddha, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, or Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva, to guide your life chi to the Pure Land.
差别就是在这里。
That's the difference.
修了900习以后，
So by practicing 900 breaths,
身接受
the spiritual experience
天你在唱歌，
in your body, the sighting, or in the dreams, you would be able to see the goddesses singing and dancing for you.
成就
So you would have this kind of attainments already.
礼拜六晚上有时候
In the
开车到
past,
山庄，最早的时候我开车到山庄去，
at Saturday evenings, I would drive to the Rainbow Villa and I would stay overnight at the Rainbow Villa.
我就去
And in the morning, I woke up and I
敲那个
would go to the altar
部钟鼓。
and I would play the drum,
我在敲部钟鼓的时候啊，
the hand
我
drum.
可以听到天上的音乐。
When I was playing that hand drum, I would be able to hear the celestial
每
music
次说我都听到
from
天
the
上的音乐的
heavens.
时候，我就
And every time I hear the celestial
天
music
上的音乐
from the heavens,
我在敲部钟鼓的时候啊，居然可以听到天上的音乐，而且听得很清楚。
I was able to hear the celestial music very clearly.
有唢呐的声音呀，唢呐，什么是唢呐？
The sound of
有唢
swana.
呐的，天上的音乐有唢呐的声音，都会吹奏唢呐的声音。
So
听
the sound
天乐
of the celestial music include like some kind of Chinese
这
oboe,
是我的经验之谈，真
oboe,
的是真
swana.
的听到天上的音乐，
So that was my experience.
而且
I
是醒着听，
truly could hear the celestial music while
有
awake.
很多很神奇的事情会发生。
So there are lots of miraculous things happening. Truly
给大家做一个
mystical and
人生
magical.
是什么？人生就是加减乘除。
So, for encouragement, what is human life? Human life is like arithmetics.
关心要加
For addition,
自信要加
the open
微笑
mindedness,
要加
self-confidence, smiling, you have to
死
add.
心要灭
And for
死心要
subtraction
减自私要减
is selfishness, low
爱
self-esteem,
心要成
and depression.
智力要成
And for multiplication, love, gratitude, compassion.
自卑要除
For division
要除，
is
这是鼓励大家。
resentments, hatred,
什么要加？心要宽大，要加；自信要加；
and what is it that we should add
对人要和
is
笑微笑。
open-mindedness, self-confidence, and smiling. For subtraction
愚直的
is ignorance should be subtracted, selfishness should be subtracted,
忧郁也不要有
melancholy or depression should be subtracted.
爱心要成，
For multiplication, love should be multiplied, self-discipline should be multiplied, gratitude should be multiplied.
贪心要除掉，
Greed should be
自
divided
卑
or
要除掉，
eliminated,
怨恨要除掉。
and low self-esteem and resentment, hatred should be
这
eliminated.
个丹真嘎错
I
和
told
自信
two Rinpoches, Tanzan Katso and
自力
Tutan
要
City,
成
you have to multiply your self-discipline.
懂吗？自己要规定自
You
己
know?
的生活，
You
生
have
活
to
起居你要自立。
have disciplines about your life.
这个图腾西地，不要半途而废。
So don't give up
你既然
halfway.
称你是仁波
You have to have self-discipline because you're being called Rinpoche. When it's time to study, you have to study. When it's time to sleep, you have to sleep. When it's time to get up, you have to get up. You have to lead a very disciplined life. When it's time to practice, you have to practice. Study, sleep, get up, practicing have to be at the same time every day. It has to be regulate. It's okay if you want to play, but it should be at the set time. That's how long you can play in a day. You have to discipline yourself. Do you know that in the Shaolin Temple, they have the precepts or the rules, the same thing here at the two Buddha temples. You cannot say, oh, I'm a Rinpoche and I am already 18, I'm an adult, so I can do whatever I want. If I want to sleep, I sleep. If I don't want to sleep, I don't sleep. Or if I want to go out and have fun for the whole day, no, you cannot. You have to study. You have to cultivate spiritually. You have to have set times, what time to sleep, what time to get up, what time to do what. You have to have disciplines. So you have to multiply the self-discipline. Two Rinpoches. The same for Tutan Siddhi from Taiwan. When it's time to study, study. When it's time to cultivate, cultivate. When it's time to play, play. When it's time to sleep, sleep. And when it's not time to sleep, you cannot sleep. So you have to discipline yourself in order to grow. Otherwise, you would fall. You know, calling you Rinpoche is you to drop you in the ocean and you have to swim to the other shore. The same thing with the masters and the venerables. You have to be disciplined. And you play the cell phones all night and don't sleep, and then you are drowsing in the daytime. No, you cannot do that. So the self-discipline should be multiplied. So you are a Rinpoche. You should be very strict about your discipline. Dalai Lama said, you know, when the Dalai Lama's teachers were disciplining Dalai Lama, also beat him. You have to study the sutras. Even a Dalai Lama, he has to sit to obey and study and work hard. If you don't study the sutra, you would be beaten. The same for Dalai Lama too. Don't think it's easy to become a Dalai Lama. He has to study a lot of sutras and lots of things. The same for Panchen Lama and all those Rinpoches. If you want to become an abbot of a temple, you have to study the sutras. You have to study well. You have to be knowledgeable. The Tibetans all have to study English. You have to master several languages. So because Grandmaster is Han speaking, you have to study Chinese, English, Vietnamese. Because so you have to master Vietnamese, English, Chinese, and if possible, Tibetans too.
这些都要学的。
You have to study them all.
迫切不是白当的，不是吃饭的。
It's not easy to become Rinpoches just to get free meals.
都要注意了。
So that's why
眼睛看。
to Rinpoches you have to pay attention. We all are observing you.
照样的。
If you don't have any attainments, all the same,
出本宗，
you would be
宗派不留你。
chased out from the
没有
school.
成就的话，
The school will not keep you if you don't have any
你去
attainments.
外面到社会上去当仁波切。
Then you just can become the Rinpoche on the streets. And that's all for today. Om Mani Padme Hum.